And I guess like that's a big thank you to the folks who are listening, because if nobody had been listening I who knows, probably would have done it anyway. But and I actually met somebody in person at a conference recently who's like, "You seem familiar. Oh, I listen to your podcast." I'm like,
Ooh,
dude,
exciting.
thank you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it reminds me that I'm not just speaking into the void, that the things that I'm saying are actually meaningful to people. They're landing. And I think that just speaks to the precariousness of this time and the hunger that people have for finding out ways to like feel better and be better. Oh, Lane, we can hear the screaming children in the background. It's so faint. It's so faint, but it's funny.
Oh no. That is horrendous. Yep. I don't even hear it anymore, if I'm honest.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, Lane, since maybe we'll have to re-record to like make sure that you're on the intro of this, but I realize like I just want to orient people to you more often. Like, do you want to tell folks who you are and what you're doing and why the hell you're here with me?
Yes, I would love to. So, my name is Lane. I'm Sarah's assistant, and I've been with her for quite a few years now. And what started as a side gig has turned into a full-time career for me. So, I support multiple mental health professionals, mostly in the Chicago area, with basically every facet of practice ownership that you could think of. So I do intake work, I do billing, I do social media support, etc. So
Et cetera, et
yes,
cetera, et
yes,
cetera.
definitely. I'm a jack of all trades,
You
master of
are.
none. Yeah.
No, you're just so smart. So
Oh,
you're amazing.
well, thanks, Sarah. But yeah, so I love what I do. I really think it's an honor to support the mental health care community. I think therapy is freaking awesome. I love therapy. So, yeah, it's really an honor to facilitate that work and help clinicians be able to focus on the clinical aspects of practice ownership. So, yeah, and I will one day hopefully be a clinician myself. So,
That's right.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right. And you're specifically here on the podcast because I realized something important about myself as I've been doing this podcast almost 10 years now, and I always hated solo episodes. I am just a person who needs somebody to bounce off of. Like I just
Yep.
need conversation. I know I can monologue, but I hate it. It just doesn't feel right. And so you're here in the intros because you make me better
Oh,
in all
thanks,
ways.
Sarah. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here. It's been a very fun side quest of sorts to yeah, do intros with you, and it's been super fun, and I'm glad to support.
Yeah. And I guess that's a good segue because we're really here doing a sort of mid-year update with the podcast. And we've been trying out some new stuff this year. I've been really reflecting on where I am in my career, and there's been a lot happening. And so we just wanted to sort of check in and let folks know what's been going on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, any recent updates on your end?
Yeah, so May and now it's the beginning of June. May was the busiest month of my life, I think, in my career thus far. And I've been
Ooh.
traveling my ass off, which is not my preferred way
Mm.
of being. I would stay in my house for the rest of my life as long as people would come to me. I like to see people, but I don't like to leave my house. So I've been traveling. So it's been really good because that means people are hiring me for things and I'm going to conferences and speaking and all that sort of stuff. And I just came back from a gig in Ohio. I was doing the, let's see, it's OACBA. I can't remember what it stands for, but it's like one of the biggest addiction and mental health conferences in Ohio. And I am from Ohio. And
Mhm.
so I haven't actually been back to Columbus. I couldn't even tell you the last time I was in Columbus, but it's been a long time since I've been back to Ohio, period. And there's always a melancholy that I have going back to Ohio because that's where I was raised and where a lot of my trauma happened and where my family's from. And so I have a lot of shame about who I used to be.
Mm.
And there's a very particular melancholy feeling when I go back to Ohio. So, I mean, obviously, like, I'm going to take your money, so I'm going to do this gig, but so I go and I was randomly chatting on Facebook with a friend of mine, Tracy Reddy, and I had no idea, but she's actually a podcast listener. And she also listens to my fucking album. Like, if you
Oh,
also didn't know, I sing and I have an album. Our our band name is called Axis 2, which I think is hilarious as a, in the profession. And the album's called Unraveling. If you want to go look it up, we can link it in the show notes. And she sent me a little image. She's like, "Oh, look just what came up on my playlist." And I'm like, "Oh my God, you listen, like what?"
oh, that's so
Um,
sweet.
it is so sweet. And so I was like, "Oh, I'm going to be in Columbus." And she's like, "I live in Columbus now." So I was like, "Let's meet up." So we met up for dinner, and she's not a big poster on social media. So I honestly really didn't know what she was up to, what she was doing. And she works in behavioral health with non speaking autistic adults. And I think she called it high need, high self injury, like really challenging cases. And so I was like, "Well, you're a fucking badass." And I mean, like, I remember you fondly from growing up together, but, don't
Right.
like really remember a ton of, I just have a terrible memory anyway. But so it was super sweet to like go out to dinner and hang out. And then, she was like, "Oh, I would have really loved to come to your keynote." And I was like, "What? Why don't you just come anyway? Like, don't tell
Right.
anybody." But I snuck her in. And I was super nervous. I don't usually get nervous, but when I walked into this room, I was like, this is probably one of the biggest audiences I've ever spoken to, at least like in person, and a big stage and my big face up on the screen. Like, it was really
Whoa.
nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And I am really happy speaking, but again, monologuing, not great at it. It's not my favorite thing. And I was supposed to talk for 45 minutes and I'm super nervous. And then Tracy comes in, and I had just checked my email and got a really shitty email that was like very accusatory and awful. And I'm not even going to talk about it. But so I was like kind of keyed up.
Sure.
But then like Tracy comes in and we just start talking. And I just was like chilling out and like feeling better. And then when I got up on stage, I was like, "Oh, this is my homeland and I want to give thanks." And so I ended up saying something like, "Yeah, I'm from Fairfield. If any of you have been to Jungle Gyms, like it's just down the road." And I was kind of tearing up and saying like, if my younger self could know like where I would end up, it, I just am so proud of myself from where I
Oh.
came from. And I think a lot of that had to do with imagining myself in Tracy's eyes, because she was like, "Why would you listen to my podcast and all of these things if you didn't think I had something to say?" And it felt so good to have somebody witness me
Mm.
who knew me when I was quote unquote at my worst,
Sure.
and now who I feel like I'm finally myself,
Yeah.
and it's so gratifying. And so Tracy, I know you're listening. Thank you. Thank
Woohoo!
you for
Shout
being
out
there.
Tracy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, what a
Seriously.
great like reparative moment and hopefully can make, going home a little bit more bittersweet than just
Yeah, than
bitter.
just
Yeah.
bitter
Yeah.
and melancholy. Yeah.
Totally.
So that was a really cool experience.
Yeah.
That's the most recent update.
Okay. Fantastic. And as you mentioned, you've been able to do a lot of speaking engagements as of late. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of what people are wanting to talk about is just kind of this evolutionary tipping point of where we are in the field. And that's what I spoke about yesterday at the OACBA conference. I've been doing a lot of gigs like that. And I'm I'm seeing a lot of therapists feel met by
Mhm.
me just naming. I talk about the term metacrisis, which is the term from Daniel Schmachtenberger, who's a philosopher, and just knowing that there's a name for what we're going through right now, right? Like all these interlocking crises at the same time, I think helps people feel a little bit less cuckoo bananas
Oh,
and a little bit
totally.
more like, oh, it's not just me. This really is a systemic thing.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's why I'm writing the book, right? Like I truly, truly think because whenever I am faced with a problem, the way that my mind works, and I think this is probably an Enneagram 3 thing, I sort of quickly like go through all the layers and try to get to the root of where the
Mm,
problem is so that I can fix the root and then everything else. And so that's why I keep coming back to therapists doing their own work because I literally cannot figure any other route for how we evolve the profession, how we get better at running businesses, how we get better at treating each other, how we get better at treating our clients. I literally can't think of anything more foundational than that. And so that's like, and that it all started with this podcast, you know, when
right.
and we talked about just before we started recording, like this desire to have a community of people who are rigorously devoted to their own integrity, you know, their own self-work. And I guess like that's a big thank you to the folks who are listening. Cause if nobody had been listening I mean, who knows, probably would have done it anyway. But seriously, and it's funny because you don't, as a podcaster, you don't get a lot of feedback, but
Sure.
the times, and I actually met somebody in person at a conference recently who was like, you seem familiar. Oh, I listen to your podcast. I'm like,
Ooh,
dude,
exciting.
thank you.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it reminds me that I'm not just speaking into the void, that the things that I'm saying are actually meaningful to people. They're landing, they want more of it, you know, and I think that just speaks to the precariousness of this time and the hunger that people have for finding out ways to like feel better and be better.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. I'm right there with you. And for me, all of this really feels about building community and staying in community, especially when times get tough. So I think, yeah, definitely the podcast is a part of that. And for it to be kind of echoed by your in-person speaking engagements is really cool. And I think incredibly important, especially as we are all navigating
Yeah.
the meta crisis that you're talking about. So I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. And I think also worth noting is it hasn't been easy,
Yeah.
you know, and I've definitely, so I guess thinking about the trajectory of moving from practice owner into consultant for group
Mm,
practices, this is a lot harder to build this business. I'm just going to tell anybody out there because, like, all the group practice owners who will end up selling their practice or closing it or whatever, like, we all have these ideas of, like, oh, what I'll do next. And I've got all this wisdom to share with people. And it's, it's a lot more vulnerable, I think, to hire a consultant than it is for just somebody to come to therapy. Not more vulnerable, different vulnerable. Let's
mhm,
say that,
mhm.
right? So building a therapy practice was super easy for me. Like I have enough contacts and enough resources, whatever, that like building the practice, no big deal. Sustaining the practice, that was hard, but building
Mhm.
it, no big deal. But then building this consulting business, what I've been running into, one is people being like, what do you do? And then secondly, I'm finding the same complaint that I have about therapists in general is because of the vulnerability of hiring a consultant, a lot of people aren't willing to do that
Mm,
because not only do you have to share like what your internal experience is about being a boss, but you have to share your finances. I mean, you don't have to share them with me, but it's more helpful if you do,
right.
right? You have to tell me when you fuck up. It's basically like hiring an accountability buddy and somebody who, you know, has maybe done it before and can sort of walk you through different things, but that is extraordinarily vulnerable and it's one thing to do your inner work around your trauma, but it's another thing to hold yourself accountable. And I'm just finding that there's a very specific type of person that's interested in the services I provide. And they're people who they really do want to hold themselves accountable and like have that really high level of integrity and are willing to like expand their capacity with me. And so it's like the people that I end up working with are amazing and I really, really love them. And um, I wish, not that I wish like, oh, anybody would hire me, but I wish more people had that willingness.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like there's some resistance to,
Hmm.
yeah, kind of engaging in that level of vulnerability that might actually be required in order to continue to expand and grow as
Yeah.
a practice owner. Yeah.
And I think that's part of why Group Practice Revolution as a platform was a lot harder to get off the ground. And like I think everybody knows by now, we paused the platform because I was putting so much time and energy into it and only spending more money on
Mhm.
it and not getting anything in return, but like a couple pennies here and there. And while I still think that it's a really great idea, I think this vulnerability threshold is a big part of the issue. I do have a plan though, everybody. The thing that I can trust about my life that I have learned, and I know that this is a gift that I should be grateful for every single day because this is not everybody's lived experience, but I can trust that the answers will come. I know that I am putting one foot in front of the other and answers always arrive. And I have found somebody who could potentially be a partner in relaunching Group Practice Revolution who has a different but equally important voice with me. I'm really good at, I think, telling people where we are and how do we tolerate where we are. I'm not the best at coming up with the new idea about what exactly things are going to look like in the future, and this person might be that.
Mm. That's
So I'm not
awesome.
going to say anything yet because I don't know. I literally, it's funny. Like we had a conversation and I was like, there might be a thing here. I don't know if you're interested in this. And I know I'm not asking you to get married, but can we go out on some dates and kind of
Right.
see if this is a thing? So that's why I don't want to name who they are yet because I literally don't know if it's going to work. But
Sure.
I still trust that there will be like things along the way that are going to unfold and there will be a right time when Group Practice
Yes.
Revolution will be something that people are like hungry for.
Absolutely. So it's a see you later and not a goodbye to group
Yeah.
practice revolution.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it will come back at the right time, and I do believe that it is important and it's an important thing, and I totally hear you that it feels like maybe some folks aren't quite there yet or aren't quite ready for that. But yeah, what else do you have in the future that you're looking forward to? I know you've shared a little bit on the podcast about your book. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. I mean, so the working title right now is Practicing Therapy in the Metacrisis: Self-Work for a World on Fire. And I it's funny, because I was super nervous about the keynote, I pulled some tarot cards before I left and was like, what do I need to know about this? All of the cards that I got were basically like the like, girl, you're fine. Just do this and then you have to build some structure. And I was like, oh, you're talking about the book. And it was
Mm.
like card after card is like, you're going to get what you want, but you have to build the structure around it. So right now I'm in this process where I'm trying to figure out how to make time for writing because I'm really good at creating more work for myself than I have time to do. Shocking to no one. Um, and so I'm like, I have to protect my time. I have to do this. And so now that all of the big things are done until the fall, I really this summer want to buckle down and be like, okay, book, come in, come through. We've got work to do. Let's make it happen together. I'm like 1.5 chapters done, which is
Okay.
yeah,
Right on. That
yeah.
is incredible. I personally cannot fathom writing a book from cover to cover. Like that is certainly a feat. So,
Well, and speaking of quote unquote failure that sort of like leads to the next thing, I was working on a book before, right? And
hmm.
listeners may be like, what happened to that book? Well, what happened to that book was I wrote it and it wasn't the right time for that book. And so that book is on the shelf. But honestly, right. So, first of all, the writing process of creating that book helped me learn how to write because the
Oh
first
yeah.
iteration of that book was fucking terrible. I just didn't know how to write.
Yeah.
And so it helped me develop my voice as a writer. And then secondly, like it helped me coalesce some ideas from my own healing process that then I can use to help potentially guide others in their own healing process. So even though that book is not released as it is, it will never be released. Something around it will be released at some point, and part of the book is actually going to be woven in through this too.
Mhm.
So yeah, yeah, there is no failure. There's only stepping stones.
Yeah, absolutely. I have always admired that about you. Your like quiet tenacity in that way of like, skipping around but not abandoning things, just waiting for the right
Yeah.
time, and that time seems to always come eventually. It's just hard to anticipate when exactly.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, and I guess the other thing that I've sort of been thinking about, I don't think this will come out in the book, but I've been in all of my career, I've been collecting different bodies of work in order to really truly to heal myself, right? I had a therapist when I was in grad school and right after, and I that's when I was interested in Brené Brown's training, and it was really expensive. And I said, how do I know if this is going to be a good training and is going to help me in my career? And she said, if it will help you personally, then it will never have been a mistake
Mm.
because it will be what you needed and you'll learn from it. And so I have used that throughout my career to make the choices about what trainings I want to invest in. And it has come to fruition that like it all everything that I've done along the way has been a stepping stone in my own healing journey. And now I think all of them actually need to go together in some way.
Whoa. Ooh.
Yeah, so it's not I don't think it'll be like a modality, but I think it'll be like, I need to figure out how to collect all of these things and share them in a digestible way, and people obviously will have to, go to the original source to learn the original thing, but if I can if I can pull pieces together that all seem to need each other, because that's the other thing, right? You go to Brene Brown for shame resilience, but you don't have trauma healing, then you're not going to be, full. If you go to NARM for trauma healing, but you don't have an understanding of power, that's not going to help, right? You need like all of these different pieces. So I want to figure out a way to put them together to help people understand how do you be a good therapist, be a good group practice owner, like be a human with deep integrity. And I'm not going to say that like I never make mistakes because I have all these things, but in my travels, it seems that like me and the people I hang out with really like have a high level of integrity that I don't see in a lot of places. And the people that are hungry for that, I want to support them in being able to do that. And the only way I know how is like, here's my path.
Right. Yeah. Well, I love that. I think that's a great piece of advice that that therapist gave you. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's about it. I'm putting you on the spot now, but do you have any reflections over, where I am, what I'm doing, what's happening? Tell me
Um,
more about me.
okay. I can do that. Yeah, I mean, I think as I said earlier, you definitely strike me as a very tenacious person. And so it's been really cool to be there with you through all of the ebbs and flows of the work that you're doing, and it's been great to yeah, see you kind of wade through the new consulting career that you have, and it's exciting to see you find what is aligned, what isn't aligned, and what just needs a little bit more time. So yeah, I'm definitely super excited for your book to come out, and maybe be there along the way to make any edits or get a
Oh
sneak
yeah.
peek early. Yeah, so
Of
I'm really
course you
excited
will.
about that. Yeah. So, um,
You're gonna have to help me plan a book launch party.
ooh,
Oh,
yeah.
actually, I don't think I've told you this idea yet, but my friend Livia Budries was like, we need to have a baby shower for your book. Because
Ooh.
the book is what I'm birthing into the world. So,
Well, I
you're gonna
love
have to
that.
be part of the baby shower,
Oh,
the book baby.
fantastic. Yes, and I'm a
Mhm.
Canva wizard, so I can put together
Yes,
some
you are.
invites. It's gonna be great. Oh
It's
my
gonna be
god.
great. Yeah.
Yes.
So stay
Okay.
tuned for an in-person book baby. Well, we might have like just a friends and family baby shower, and then
Right,
like
right,
we'll have
right.
a book launch party for the rest of the world. But stay
Ooh.
tuned.
Yes. Well, very exciting.
Yeah. Well,
Sweet.
I think that's it. So
Okay.
thanks, folks, for being around for the ride. Again, like I am deeply appreciative of people who continue to show up and listen to this podcast and want to be, the best human you can be to leave your own beautiful legacy in the world.
Mhm.